Hey everybody, Bill from Iowa. So, what do you do when your work car is a 1996 Ford Taurus? She's got she's got 82,000 miles on it. It's going to be 83,000 miles on it tomorrow after work. But you like your Sirius XM, you like your Prime audio book, subscription, and this particular radio in 1996, it doesn't have a coaxial cable, right? Sure, you can go grab that tape deck that slides in there with the cord that comes out, and you can run your audio through that tape deck, which is what we did the first couple of years that we lived there. But that tape deck's not really designed to go into this type of deck. And what happened was it broke the tape deck. The tape deck couldn't figure out where the tape was because of the wire coming out of the tape itself. And it just sat there, and it would try to install, and it would try to kick it out, and it would try to install, and it would try to kick it out. So it never really worked very well. You got a little static and all that crap. And ultimately, it never stopped trying to put the tape in or kick the tape out. It just sat there and went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, whether the car was running, whether you were driving it. So if came home on a Friday and you didn't drive this thing Saturday and Sunday, by Monday morning you can walk out here and the battery's dead. It's like, what the hell's going on? And it's a soft enough noise that unless you're really listening, you can't even hear it happening. So we replaced batteries, we put alternators, put another battery in there before I finally figured out what the hell was going on. Which brought up another problem. By the time I got the tape deck out, it was still doing it. And this was a couple of years ago. So this is, what's 2022, 2021. So the radio itself was junk because the stupid tape deck wouldn't stop doing what it was doing. So then the next question, where do you go find a radio for a 1996 Ford Taurus? You would think it's as easy as, well, I'll just go to the junkyard. Well, no. 10 years ago, it might have been that easy, maybe 15 years ago. But there's not that many of these cars running around. And to make problems worse, it's a single cluster. So you see, you got the radio here, and then you got the climate control. And it's not the easy, analog climate control. It's all digital. It's all one unit. When you pull that radio out of there, it's one unit. So, ended up having to go to Davenport. Went to like 3 different pull-aparts. Finally found a radio, or found a car that had the cluster, the radio, and the climate control all in one unit. But it wasn't 1970, or it wasn't 1996. It was like 1998. So the radios were the same, but the wire harnesses changed. So that's 27 wires. And luckily I was paying attention, going, okay, the wire harnesses aren't the same. Bring that harness that plugs into the radio with me. We cut all that off, and we had to put, I had to trace back 27 different wires to get this unit to work. Well, when we finally got it working, I've got no speakers. There's 7 different speakers in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 different speakers in this car, and it never just really worked all that great. But that was fine because I didn't listen to the radio. I was, I had a Bluetooth speaker in the car, blah, 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 listened to my books on tape and Sirius satellite radio on a Bluetooth speaker. So we've solved that problem. Just got done installing 2 brand new 6x8 Ford speakers in the back. Amazingly, the subwoofer that's in the back still works, and the subwoofers that are in the doors, right, there's one there, those still work. Tweeters on the high side, they don't work. Not gonna mess with them. But so we installed 2 new speakers in the back. Subwoofers all still work, so it sounds really good. But here's the solution. And I'm sure you audio guys already know this. This was $13 at Menards, right? And it's an FM transmitter, right? So you Bluetooth from your phone to the FM transmitter, and then you set the radio dial 106.9 on the FM transmitter, so it goes from your phone to the FM transmitter, and then it transmits at 106.9 to the antenna on the car and goes through the speakers, which is amazing for 13 bucks. You know, so 13 bucks, I got Bluetooth in the car. Another 25 bucks, I've got, you know, I went from a single cone one-way speaker to 2-way speakers. You know, got a little tweeters in the back, and this thing sounds pretty good. Now the only downside to it is the wattage coming out of that going into the radio is not where I'd like. So if you really want to crank it out, you're turning this thing up all the way. But because the sound going into it is below that distortion level, it sounds crisp and clear. You got good bass coming through it. I was a DJ back in the day. You know, everybody's like, well, you know, you can put 200, 300, 500 watt booster on that. I'm 55 years old. My days of thumping down the road are over. I just get irritated when somebody pulls up to me at the stoplight and their you know, whole car's rattling. It's like, yeah, buddy, talk to me when you're 55 and you can't hear your wife talking to you from across the room because, you know, you ruined your hearing. So yeah, we went to Chicago for Megan's graduation. We got home in time and got 2 projects on the list for Sunday. Get the new speakers in this car so I can listen to my audiobooks on the way to work. How old am I? And number 2, let's get this hot tub put back together. We've got the O-rings, put the pumps back in. We got to get her cleaned out, and then we're going to fill her up and see if it works. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Yeah, I know it's 7 minutes and 37, probably going to be 7 minutes, 45 seconds before we get this thing shut down. But, you know, hey, it's technical. It's Bill from Iowa. We'll talk to you later.